Great. Well, students and alum, thank you so much for being and attending our Zoom event this evening about pivoting those majors that you may have graduated with or those that you're close to graduating with and seeking alternative careers or something out of the ordinary with that degree. So once again, thank you to Alumni Affairs for allowing me to help facilitate this event. So thanks to Melissa Reardon and Andrea for allowing this wonderful panel here. So I'm going to introduce each one just by first name. So students, you can get to know who the alumni is, their major, and then also one fun fact that they might be sharing with us. And then after the quick introductions, then we'll jump right into the questions that were submitted to us prior to the event. So why don't we go ahead and start with Adrian?
Hi, everyone. Can everyone hear me okay? We're good? Okay, perfect. So hi, everyone. My name's Adrian. I graduated from Cal Poly back in 2016. I was a business, I did marketing, so business student, marketing management with an emphasis on sports and entertainment marketing. And for my fun fact, I'm actually a drag racer, not like RuPaul's Drag Racing, but like a race car driver.
That's great. All right, how about Karen?
Hi, I'm Karen. I graduated from Cal Poly Pomona back in 2014 with I double majored in math and graphic design, which could also double as my fun fact. But for my fun fact, I actually worked at the Career Center with Sherry, and it was a lovely time, a lovely 2 years.
Hopefully it was fun. Thank you so much. How about Marilyn?
Hi, everybody. My name is Mary Lynn. I graduated from Cal Poly in 2015 with a marketing management degree. Currently work for Robert Half as a senior staffing executive, or also known as a recruiter. And I specialize in hiring for like accounting and finance positions. Been doing this for the last 4 years. And my fond memory of Cal Poly was all of the exercise I got on a daily basis going up and down those hills with my backpack. So there was no excuses back then, so there shouldn't be excuses now. Thank you.
Oh, I missed that out about the campus. How about Jalissa?
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Yeah, okay, cool. I'm Julissa Dienda. I graduated from Cal Poly this past May 2019. Well, I guess like a year and a half ago. 2019 with a degree in business. My emphasis was in management. I also got a Spanish minor. Currently, I'm working in sales. I never thought I was going to be working in sales for a company called TTI. And a fun fact or a fun memory about me at Cal Poly was that I was in a few different things. I did cheerleading there. I was on the cheer team for 2 years. And I was the president of a business club. And I got to be part of Hermanas Unidas, which is like a Latina like sisterhood club. So I just met a ton of amazing people during my time there.
Great, thank you. How about Kristen?
Hi guys, can you hear me okay? Yeah, awesome. So my name is Kristen Murky. I graduated May 2019. I am a kinesiology major from the College of Science with an emphasis in health promotion. And I currently am a sales representative for the Gallo Wine Company, which again is not something I thought I was going to be in, but life kind of led me there. And one of my favorite and fondest memories from Cal Poly was taking a nap in one of the giant green fields in between my 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. class schedule. So I miss that.
Awesome, that's fun. And Roderick?
Hi everyone. So yeah, my name is Roderick Napier. I graduated from Cal Poly in May 2020, and I graduated with a business administration degree, emphasized in CIS. And I'm currently working at SoCalGas in their IT rotational program, which is a 27-month program. And a fond memory from Cal Poly, let's see, well, I was there for about 5 years, but I was actually a peer advisor at the Career Center, so I worked with Sherry a lot for about a year and a half, and then I was also a resident advisor too. So I have a lot of fun memories, but those are the biggest, I think.
Thank you, Roderick. I forgot so many of you worked in the Career Center. All right, so we're going to just, I'm going to ask some of the questions, and then whomever would like to jump in and answer it, that's fine. It doesn't mean that everyone's going to answer every single question, but we'll get started here. So what influenced you or guided your decision when it came to either beginning or switching into a new career?
So I'll I'll answer this one, and I'm so sorry, I completely forgot to mention what I even do. So with my degree in marketing, sports and entertainment, I actually did not jump right into the sports industry. I actually started off working in the hospitality industry. So I was working at one of the most popular hotels on the Las Vegas Strip, doing front desk and different things there. So I knew, though, that's not what I wanted to do. Upon leaving Las Vegas, I went on to work for the Phoenix Suns. And I myself was one of those also that never saw myself doing sales. But I did do sales for the Phoenix Suns. Once my time with the NBA was done, I ended up coming back to Vegas and just ended up doing event planning for the Las Vegas Aces, the WNBA team there. Fast forward to 2020 / the pandemic era, I was furloughed. And I was really in a really tough position where I was like, what the heck am I going to do? We're in the middle of a pandemic. I'm furloughed, eventually ended up getting laid off. And I was like, well, I can either sit here and throw myself a pity party, or I can make the best out of it. So now I am actually I just started my own business. So I'm a business owner / entrepreneur now. And now I have a company called Redipped. And I do everything related to custom sweet treats. So my biggest motivation was really just picking myself up and realizing this world, a lot of people are in tough positions, but what are you going to do in that tough position? And for me, it was, I'm going to make the best of it. I'm going to pick myself up and I'm going to do what I have to do. So I started a business doing something that I absolutely love.
I love that. That's really awesome. So with being a kinesiology major and pivoting to sales and business, it was definitely a big jump. And I still get a lot of people to this day that ask me, they're like, well, didn't you go to school for science? Like, didn't you go to school for kinesiology? And I always like to tell people that sometimes it's not always about like the resume fit. A lot of times it's about the culture fit. And when I heard about the opportunity with Gallo through the Cal Poly campus, and I got the opportunity to meet a few people who work for the company and hear their side of the story and hear what they value about the company, it really started changing my mind and feeling very strongly that this company could offer me an opportunity to work somewhere where I would be valued and I'd be able to cultivate myself as a person and also cultivate myself as a professional. And then the deeper I got into the interview process and the more I got to learn about the company and how they give back and their sustainability, it kind of just sealed the deal for me. So I always like to tell people that, like, yeah, like we get into college and there may be something we're passionate about that we get our degree in, but pivoting towards something that is a fit for you and a fit for you as a person sometimes is more fulfilling than maybe you doing something that you love, but that could potentially turn into something that becomes a job later on just because you thought you were following the path that you were supposed to be on. So I always tell people to keep in mind that like a company can sometimes offer you more if you find the right one.
I can go ahead as well, Sherry. So I have, as I said, 5 years ago, graduated with a marketing management degree. So marketing, as you can imagine, it's also a lot of sales. I feel like that's the trend tonight. Everyone got into sales, but didn't think they would. When I started to look for entry-level marketing positions, they all required, the typical 4 to 7 years of experience. And I worked throughout college, but not necessarily in marketing. So that's something I do regret, and advice I give to everybody, that whatever you're majoring in, do an internship, paid, unpaid, like just do an internship, see if it's something you really want to do. Because at the end of the day, when you graduate and you start looking for those entry level roles, it's going to be easier to get into a role once you have some of the experience, and you'll know whether or not you like it. But anyways, the marketing that I'm doing now, I mean, I'm still kind of in marketing as a recruiter. It kind of worked out really well because it went from like jobs where it was a lot of cold calling, a lot of things I was uncomfortable with, to something I'm passionate about, which is people. You know, my job is to recruit, meet people, and then have them marketed to our clients for jobs. So at the end of the day, I'm still kind of doing marketing, but in a way that I really enjoy it, because I'm helping people find jobs, and that's something I'm really passionate about, and it's a really rewarding work too. So.
Hi, can I also add? Is that okay?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Hi, hello from Malaysia. I graduated from Cal Poly actually year 2012. So ever since graduating, I've been working with technologies and intellectual properties. I have been with government agencies for 7.5 years in Malaysia, and I'm actually considering to switch careers into the private sector, the corporate sector. And I find it actually quite difficult because number one, technology transfer and intellectual property in Malaysia is very limited. And number two, the kind of skill sets, the feedback that I get from corporate sector is that the kind of skill set that they require is a little bit different than what I have, because my focus has always been developmental. So actually one of the things that I've been told is I have to enter the private sector at entry level, even if I have 7.5 years experience. I mean, is it the same in the US? I'm open to it, but I just wanted to know how other places do it as well.
Thank you. That's a question that I'd be more than happy to answer, but it's probably going to take me quite some time. So I'm going to put my email in the chat box. Please email me, and then we can have a further discussion about that. Okay, great. All right, well, let's move on to this question here. What do you believe is the best way for an individual to network during this pandemic, during this time where all students and even all alum are online, everything's virtual? And anyone have any perhaps suggestions for the students and the alum?
This is literally my favorite question. I tell everyone, if you are not on LinkedIn as a business professional, I don't know what you're doing. It is what it is. If you can have Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, any of those, trust me, you can have LinkedIn. LinkedIn is my best friend. It was my best friend when I was in school. It was my best friend out of school. It's my best friend now. And start a conversation. Don't be scared. I get a lot of times, because I mentor a lot of youth as well, and I tell them all the time, look, don't be intimidated to reach out because someone's title says president of XYZ company. Reach out. You would be so surprised at how many presidents or high title people are wanting you to reach out to them and shoot them a message, or wanting you to have the confidence to shoot them a message. So LinkedIn, hands down, the best place to network, especially today during a pandemic where everything's virtual.
Yeah, my answer is kind of similar to Adrian's. Definitely LinkedIn. Just talk to people. I've met people, like I've networked with people in the grocery store. I'm in the Home Depot all the time. I talk to people all the time. Different stores like that. Don't be scared to just ask people or kind of have a further conversation. I'm a business major, but I'm also someone who's been more on the reserve side, so I wasn't the one to always initiate conversation. What helped me personally is I read this book, and I recommend it to everyone, to my mom, to my sisters, to whoever I meet. If you're more on the reserve side, it's called How to Win Friends and Influence People, and it just kind of gives you like conversation starters, and the more you practice it, the easier it is to just get up and talk to someone, because you never know who you meet. Someone you bump into the grocery store could be, you know, your next boss, or they can connect you with someone who is already in a company that you want to work with. So just don't be scared to talk to anyone really, and have those in-person conversations, because especially right now we're kind of missing that, you know, humanity of it all online. So just start a conversation with people.
And sorry, I was going to join in as well, Sherry. I would also say networking is very important, especially I do agree with Adrian. LinkedIn is very important, especially as a recruiter. I mean, I know I only specialize in accounting and finance positions, but I work for Robert Half. We have 7 other divisions that have specialized teams. So if anybody needs any help, I can also put my LinkedIn in the chat there.
Great. So let me pull up another question I think might be useful for these students. And I know a lot of us are at home working remotely. So how do you as individuals stay focused at home with so many distractions?
I can take that. I have been working from home since March, and I think I forgot to say what company I work at, but I work as a UI UX designer at First American Title, which is a title and escrow company. So I work on the product design team designing web applications, and we've been working remote since March, and our company has no plans on moving my business unit back into in-person I was going to say in-person learning, but in-person like working. So for me, my personality, I actually really enjoy working from home. So it wasn't too much of a struggle. But for definitely some things to help would be like shutting your door, setting a schedule for yourself. And one thing that helped me a lot in the beginning was I got really excited to be working from home. So I was like, I'm gonna just wear my pajamas all day. It's gonna be fantastic. I love it. And I got tired of that after a week, and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to do something. So like sticking to your routine and try to like mimic some of that behaviors that you were doing before, even though it's not as necessary. At least like maybe change into house pajamas instead of like your night or daytime pajamas instead of your nighttime pajamas. And also for me, listening to music helps drown out some of the other noises going on in the back. And my manager actually implemented a in meeting office light into his house, because his kids would always barge in. So he turns on like this little, it's almost like a studio recording light. So it's just like, oh, in session, don't come in. So those are some things that could help out.
So I actually have never stopped working during the pandemic. I've been in the field consistently, so I don't have a ton of experience working at home, but I did have the pleasure of getting to speak with a few of our upper management and HR people who do work at home. And a lot of them said that not being too hard on themselves, and like remembering that like we're all juggling balls, and some of them are plastic and some of them are glass, and it's okay to drop the plastic ones. And just know that like if you are sitting there and you're twitching and you're agitated and you're getting frustrated with the computer in front of you, like take a break, stand up, go downstairs, grab a glass of water. Like, yeah, maybe that email might be like a 15 minutes late, but that's okay. That's a plastic ball that can get dropped. Like your mental health is a glass ball that can't be. And working from home is a balance of mental health and of professional. So like making sure that balance stays at the forefront, and you'll find yourself being ready to work every day if you're not dreading it, because you do know that you can get those breaks. So a lot of my coworkers have said that just giving yourself a break once in a while can help refocus you and bring you back to your business center. So hopefully that helps anybody else.
Thank you so much. It's well said. We really appreciate that. So maybe for some of the other individuals, and Kristen, maybe you want to jump in answering this question then, for those of you that are out in the field, how are you feeling? How has it been going? And is there any advice you might give to students who are a little apprehensive about perhaps working in the field and not remote?
Yeah, so I just had a very large work with one of our regional sales managers today. And when we sat down, we talked about the different experience that we've had being the forefront in the field through this entire pandemic. Like my company never stopped. And one of the things that we agreed on is that there was a benefit to it for us, that we got to continue to live our life and not feel like the world was crashing around us, and we never got interaction taken from us. Like we for the most part felt extremely normal. But with that does come the apprehension, and with that does come with knowing that you need to be sensitive to everybody's understanding and everyone's situation. And this pandemic has not affected everyone the same. But we have learned that there is a way to operate safely in the field, and there is a way to get business done and to help the businesses that are open, like grocery stores, maintain their business as well, and also maintain morale. Like, we're a different face that our people get to see every day, and even though we're selling them things, like having that happy personality can help change their perspective on the pandemic as well, and can make a difference in other people's lives. So I think that this question is really a humanitarian question. And I understand that, like, if you haven't been in the field and you're someone new coming into the workforce in the field, no, it's okay to be apprehensive about entering the pandemic and entering in this stage. But something my boss said today was that we're closer to the end than we are to the beginning at the moment. And you have people who have been in the field since the beginning who can give you tips and tricks to operate safely and what to look for, and just how to manage the situation. So I guess my biggest advice would be, don't be afraid. This has provided me personally, I don't speak for anyone else, the opportunity to maintain my life and to feel normal on a daily basis. But it is okay to feel apprehensive about it and to have your own situation. So hopefully that helps someone out.
For me, I've also been in the field. So I graduated 2019. I was unemployed. I started working March 3rd, so about 2 weeks before the pandemic hit. So I've known nothing else. But one great thing that has kind of helped me was that my company is so willing to go above to make us feel like safe. They'll give us like PPE. So I sell power tools. I'm in and out of the Home Depot. And they'll let us expense wipes, anything that we need, sanitizer. Like, they've sent us so much stuff just so that we feel comfortable. For me, there are days where, more often than not, customers get too close to my liking, right? They want to be right here next to me so they can explain to me. And you also have to remember that even though you're out there, you do want to protect yourself the best that you can and however you feel comfortable. So for me, I just have to remind them, like, hey, can you take a step back? Or I'll take a step back. And then if they take a step closer, I'll take another step back, because it is a little bit, like, I do sometimes get anxiety when they get so close and they want to be like touching me and, all friendly, and it's sales. So, you'll have long conversations, but just, if you work for a company that really values the people, they're gonna do their best to take care of you. And then it's your part to also do your best to put yourself first in these situations and make sure that you're comfortable stepping into a position, especially right now where, like, for me, people like to get super close to me. So you just have to be sure that where you're going and what you're going to be doing, you're going to be comfortable with it.
Great, thank you. So we'll move on to the next question then. So for the panelists, some of you mentioned this a little bit, but I'll go ahead and just read the question. Are there any alum here who attained a respectable degree, but upon graduation made decisions that took them away from their original plans? If so, what was one helpful avenue you took to eventually pivot into that career direction? What was the game changer that allowed you to successfully make that transition?
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, this is Eric Marinowski. I started Cal Poly in 1994, originally trying to major in architecture and landscape architecture. I joined the Navy Reserves to get some money for school. And then I trained majors when I came back from basic training to international business. At the same time, I started landscaping business with what I learned from landscape architecture, and also kind of with the help of my father. He was in construction. But after a few years in the military, I started focusing on that more. And by time I graduated, I started looking at getting my commission and went transfer over to the Air Force, and got commissioned and went to intelligence. So a total change of career paths. And everything I've learned applied somewhere, just not exactly the right career path of anybody. I mean, that's looking at majoring in architecture or international business. But it did take me different places. I got to work at the embassy in Nicaragua and Colombia. I got to go to Egypt and even to Turkey. And I did my 22 years and retired in the reserves. And now I'm just looking at what to do next. But thing is, don't be closed-minded. Always look at different opportunities. You're always gonna have open doors, going different places. Just don't be bashful and try them out.
I think
Thank
to
you,
kind of
Ed.
add on to that also, I would definitely say like I said, for myself, I had no idea I was going into sales, you guys. Like, I did not want to do sales. I had no idea what I was even getting myself into. I just knew for myself with the path that I was taking, it was a step in the door. My biggest thing, though, would be to just keep your eye on the prize, keep your eye on your goals, and don't ever give up. My biggest thing was I stayed dedicated, although I didn't want to be in sales. Like Eric said, I had an open mind while I was doing it. And I feel like that's really what opened up the door once I started doing what I wanted to do. I was open-minded. I learned what I could learn. It taught me even more to add to my resume for when I eventually got to do what I wanted to do. But like I said, I stayed dedicated and I stayed true to the process. The process is not easy at all. I like to tell people the sad truth. I'm sorry, get it out of your heads. But if you don't step into your career right after graduation, like, surprise. But yeah, just stay dedicated, keep pushing, and keep your goal in mind and stay open-minded for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I love that. I think that was really well put. I think it's a total mindset. I completely agree with you. Kind of like I was dead set on going into health promotion. I was dead set on going to higher education and getting my master's. And when I was approached with this opportunity to work for a wine sales company, I kind of laughed at it at first. And I was like, no, like that's not even something I've thought of. And it was just silly to me. And then I started looking at my history, and I'd been working since I was 16. Started in a grocery store, worked for a floral company, delivery driving, and then I got into restaurants, and I've been serving for the past 7 years. And I realized that I had been in the sales force, maybe in a different capacity than we normally think about, but I'd been in it for at least 6 years at that point. And Gallo actually pointed that out to me. And so one of the things that helped me make that big pivot was looking at myself and looking at like my tendencies and knowing that, well, I've already been doing this, so what's going to stop me now if I focus on it? And like Adrian was saying, like that's where the mindset comes in, and like having that grit. And if you're going to make a decision, don't give yourself room to doubt it. Like just go for it and know yourself and be like, hey, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to give it 110% and I'm going to succeed because I know that I can. And you like, and that's really what it is. It's like, the decision is always going to be yours, and it's never going to be wrong if you put yourself behind it. Like you just have to be your own cheerleader. So like the biggest advice I'd give to anybody is like go into something without regrets. Like don't give yourself the room to regret it. And if it doesn't work out, that's fine. You're young and like you have time to change. Like I graduated at 26. No, 25, sorry. I graduated at 25. And I'll be turning 27 soon. So almost 2 years with my company. And it's been the best decision of my life to make that pivot. So I think most everyone here can agree that like sometimes it turns out for the best.
I can add on to that. But I actually started making my pivot back when I was still in college. I had mentioned that I had a double major in math and graphic design, and that's a very odd combination. It's because I started off in the math field, eventually went into graphic design. And once I got into graphic design, I discovered that I was really good at web design. And so then at the time when I was at Cal Poly, the web design program wasn't very fleshed out. So I actually took initiative to learn some skills in the industry on the side. So by the time I graduated, I had some skill set that I was able to apply when I was working at the Career Center. And then after college, I got my first job at a web design company. And from there, I kind of transitioned into more product design and user experience. So definitely like always keeping out your eye for new skills that you can learn and new opportunities, because there are things that just kind of come your way. Like if something came in my path, I would just kind of take it. I'd be like, yeah, I'd like to learn that. I'd love to like work on this presentation, or I'd want to like try out this new thing that I've never done before. And I think that helped me a lot.
So I'm going to perhaps ask Roderick if you might want to kind of describe a little bit of your paths and what brought you to your current position, or what made you decide to go into the direction that you're now in?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, when I joined, or when I started at Cal Poly Pomona, I was actually a music major. I had really big kind of they didn't really make sense, but all my dreams were kind of like I wanted to go into the music industry and be this person that I wasn't sure who to be. And I think after my first year, I realized maybe that wasn't what I actually wanted to do. It's just what would have been really cool to do, which I think is really hard for me to talk about, just because I still like music a lot, and I still do that on the side. But now that I'm a business major, I graduated with business, I do something else a little differently. So after my first year, I decided to go into something more general, which was business. That way I could kind of decide where I wanted to go afterwards, after graduating. So after choosing business, I decided to go with a CIS. And I always had an affinity for computers. Like I play a lot of PC games. My mom's in IT too, so that kind of helped me steer my direction there. And yeah, I don't know, I was just very interested in technology, and I think that's kind of where I am on my journey right now. I know the questions about being kind of like a big pivot, and I still feel like I'm on that pivot, because I'm not sure if IT is where I want to be with technology. I just know I want to be working with technology, like newer technology, maybe cloud development or something like that. But yeah, so right now I'm in a rotational program. I think this program is really good for me too, because I get to rotate on different teams. like I said earlier, it's a 27-month program, 9 months each for each team. And then after that, I get to choose or kind of interview for different teams to see where I want to place after that. Right now I'm working in cybersecurity, which is very crazy. Things are changing every day. We're always researching new solutions for how we can help our business stay secure, and our third-party partners that we work with too. And then my next rotation will be starting next year, and I'll be working on more of like business applications and how they impact customers. So yeah, I'm still on that journey, but very interested to see where I land.
Thank you, Roderick. So maybe I'll ask Julissa if you could perhaps maybe talk a little bit about what you enjoyed about management human resources. And I think you touched upon going into the organization that you're now with, but what brought you to that decision to join that company?
Yeah, so for me, I feel like the best way to find something that you're going to be happy in is to find your purpose or what you love to do, because you may study something and then you decide that you love to do something else. You realize that, hey, I have a hidden passion for, like, I have a friend who studied psychology and now she's in like law enforcement and security and stuff like that. So for me, when I was unemployed, it was like 9 months after graduating and I didn't have a job. I was doing a lot of like self-reflecting and trying to see what I really liked. And my passion has always been leadership, like working with people. And I think that's why I chose management, because I feel like we're missing good leaders out there, leaders that motivate you, that you want to follow and you want to listen to and you want to grow a team. So that's kind of why I chose that to study. What led me to my company, actually, I went to go meet with Sherry Peters at the Career Center. It was about January of 2020, and she brought this company up and she told me, hey, this is like a new company that's working with us and they have this career development program. They're a leadership development program, and she just told me kind of what it was. She handed me a flyer, and that's what kind of stood out to me, because like, some of my fellow panelists said, I did not want to do sales. I'm not the person that just goes up and talks to people. I was not that person, but now with the skills that they're developing in me, I really love where I'm going with this company. I knew nothing about power tools before I started, and now I'm selling drills and, hammers or whatever on the shelf all the time. And it excites me now, like when I see, my brands out there and I get to know that I'm helping people find the right solution, like helping contractors get the job done quicker. But for me, it was just finding what I love to do, and the fact that I love to help people. And in this position, even though it's not where I initially saw myself, I'm able to help people every day, literally every day. Homeowners, whoever needs like just a basic drill to put up, pictures on the wall, whatever it is. Just seeing them, take that home, and I get to know that I was able to facilitate their entire experience. That's kind of what I love with what I'm doing now, because that's my passion. My passion is people and helping people, and this company is helping me develop my leadership skills, which is something that I'm super grateful for.
Thank you so much for sharing that. So here's a question for the group. A student would like to know, how can I get my foot further in the door aside from just applying to positions online? I know we touched upon networking, but is there something else that you might want to mention to students so they can maybe get to that interview either sooner or get into a company more quickly?
I love this question so much. So I don't know if anyone who is attending this knows about some of the recruiting that companies do on campus. I actually work with the Gallo Wine Company with their pre-recruitment team on Cal Poly's campus. So I had the pleasure this last semester and the fall semester before to be on virtually on campus this time, but on campus before, and getting to get into classrooms with different majors and actually have like networking classes. And something that Gallo loves to point out is that, much like we were mentioning earlier with LinkedIn, is one, a personalized letter. It actually goes a really long way if you go and you research the company's website. Find out what their core values are. What's their mission statement? Where did they come from? How old is the company? Are they sustainable? Do they have give back programs? Do they have diversity support companies that work with them to give their employees support in the company? Because that's a huge aspect of showing that a company cares about their employees. And knowing all of that, writing a personalized letter touching on all those points and how and why and how those are important to you, and sending them to one of their managements, sending them to one of their recruiters, and just letting them know, like, hey, like, this is who I am and this is what I value and this lines up, and it's not only like a culture fit for me, but it's a culture fit for you. And that goes a huge long way. And then, much like Adrian was saying, like, don't be afraid to reach out and connect via LinkedIn with multiple people who work for the company in different positions, and kind of like just have little conversations and chats with them around LinkedIn, or even if there's another website like Handshake that you can utilize. And you'll find very quickly that if all these different people in different positions in the company know your name and they start talking about it, they'll be like, oh yeah, I had this person on LinkedIn reach out to me, and they're like, I had the same person. And someone else will be like, yeah, I talked to that person too. We really like them. And all of a sudden, the entire company knows your name, and you apply and it immediately gets pulled because people are recognizing you. And then you know the company, so it shows that you had dedication to them before you even had a position. So it does sound like a lot of work, but if you're passionate about a company and you really want that foot in the door, that's going to make you stand out 110% than somebody who just applies for the position and has a little blurb on like their cover letter. So like, it's all about making yourself stand out and showing that you'll go the extra mile before it's even asked of you.
I think that's so awesome. You guys would be so surprised at how many people do not write a handwritten letter. And really, it, to me, it shows persistence. That was huge for me. Persistence, persistence, persistence. If you reach out to somebody on LinkedIn and they don't respond to you and they leave you on red, guess what? Do the due diligence, find their email and shoot them an email. What's the worst they can say? Stop bothering me, or maybe they leave you on red again. That's literally how I got my job with the Phoenix Suns. Actually, my hiring manager left me on red on LinkedIn, found his email. I sent him an email and his response to me was, wow, you're very persistent. Got an interview from that and he hired me on the spot. As soon as I flew out to Phoenix from Vegas and got hired on the spot. So persistence is key. Another thing I've done, there was a time where I was applying for a position with the Golden Knights, Vegas Golden Knights. And this was the year after they had just went to the finals. They were a brand spanking new team. Everyone wanted a job with the Vegas Golden Knights. And what I did was, one of their corporate partners was Krispy Kreme donuts. So it sounds, you know, cheesy or corny, but don't listen to what people might say about how you're being unique and separating yourself, because that stuff works. I sent a dozen of Krispy Kreme donuts to the hiring manager with my resume taped on the inside of the box, and it had a little message that said, you donut, as in do not know how awesome it would be to join your team. And I got a call like this from her. And that's really how she recognized my application, how she recognized my resume out of thousands, just from doing little unique things like that. And again, people might judge you, friends might laugh at you and say, wow, you're desperate, or, oh, that's goofy, why would you do that? But it's like, if you're passionate about it and if it's what you want, you have to set yourself apart from those thousands. So don't be scared to be persistent, be unique, and go after it.
And then I can go ahead and add, you know, as a recruiter, so I work for a company that we staff for multiple other companies for like their accounting and finance roles and all kinds of different positions. I have job postings up all the time with my name and my email address, and something I put on every job posting is for immediate consideration, send me an email directly. And something that stands out to me is when people do that and not only email me their resume, but also state why they think they're a good fit for the job. For example, like I have 3 years of bookkeeping experience. I really want to learn these other things on the job. Like I'm very interested in the role. A lot of the times I get people that don't have the experience but are eager to learn. And the fact that they're passionate and eager to learn is something I look for as well, because that shows that they're going to continue to be a good student, take notes, and learn really quickly on the job. So I would definitely say that, and of course, LinkedIn networking, as we've mentioned, and then connecting with recruiters or with people at the companies you're applying for.
Okay, so let me pull up another question. What advice would you give active students to allow them a better opportunity for employment given today's virtual world?
I'll speak to this one as well. So a lot of people I noticed, especially when, the pandemic first hit, we had to switch over to virtual interviews with clients. And I noticed a lot of people, since they were at home, they didn't take it as seriously as if they were going on site, wouldn't dress the part, which can have an effect that, just because you're working from home, you're not going to work as seriously or interview as seriously, get prepared for an interview as seriously as you would if you were to go on site. So that's definitely something that we saw a lot in the beginning, but we've learned that, reminding them on the front end, like, we know this is a video interview, but please make sure your dogs aren't barking, you have proper lighting, you're dressed appropriately for the interview. It's fine if it's the waist up, we're all doing it right now, but definitely to still treat it like a real in-person interview, and to always come with a couple questions about the company and research the company, of course, is something I would say.
Similar to what Mary Lynn said, I feel like researching the company was my greatest thing that I did. So before I got this job, I had gone on, I think, at least like a dozen interviews for a dozen different companies, all different. But what helped me, like, I kid you guys not, once I got my foot in the door, I always got a second interview. And that's because I did my research on the company and I asked them questions. And that's something that I feel like people don't do enough of. Because 10, 20 people could be applying for the same position. But if you set yourself apart and show that you're interested and that you're looking into the company and looking into, their company culture. And for me, a big thing is what they do for the environment and what other things they're doing to help, people out, or just sustainability. Those are things that I personally align with, just making sure that the company that I want to work for, I align with their values, and showing that I am an interested candidate. And also reaching out to other people, because I did meet a lot of amazing people at Cal Poly, and just having them review my resume, or just making sure that someone else takes a look at it before, because that's your first impression, and you want to have a strong first impression. So those are just a few tips that helped me in the job hunt.
I'm gonna build off that just a little bit because I love the way that was said, and I agree with both of you guys. Just simply put, like, you're an investment for a company when they're hiring you, and when you're a candidate, they're investing in you. A lot of companies will put money into training you, hiring you, whether it's virtual or not. So putting that research in beforehand gives them comfortability in hiring you, because you invested in them before they invested in you. So it's very much like a time thing. So, and showing in any way, even if it's in a unique way that we haven't touched on yet, that you've invested yourself in the company before you applied, makes them feel like, well, if you've invested in us, like, we feel more comfortable investing in you. So, like, it needs to be a mutual investment as well, because I mean, when it comes down to it, it is a business. So it's value, it's culture fit, and it's an investment.
Just to like add on that too, the investment part, definitely invest in yourself too if you can. With this virtual world, I mean, everything's going to be more technical now. So if you could either learn any of like those skills that companies look for in candidates too. I mean, all those things can be taught in trainings, but having that step ahead and learning them on your own kind of shows initiative as well. And it doesn't have to be anything like too technical, like a coding language and everything like that. Just like different types of technologies that the company might use. You can do some research and see what the industry uses too as a standard. Those are just some advice.
Thank you, all of you, for answering that question. That was wonderful. And I'm just going to put a plug in to all Cal Poly Pomona students. If you've not ever logged in and utilized LinkedIn Learning, it's free for students. It's a fabulous tool, and you can learn and develop skills through LinkedIn Learning. So why not take advantage of that since it's there for all of you? So perhaps there's a few more, quite a number of questions, and we're running out of time, but maybe a couple of you might be able to answer this question. How did you, or how do you cope with the lack of socialization that is usually happening in the workplace? So I know some of you are working out in the world of work, but some are remote. So how are you coping with that? Is there any advice?
I can take that one on. So like I said, I've been working remotely since March, and our company actually hired a lot of people this year. So I'm actually working with more people that I've never met before than I have with people I have met in person. So that's a very interesting experience, because when working in a virtual environment, you're pretty much only working within your own team. Like back in the office, I would be able to encounter people from other teams or other departments that I never would have normally encountered, but now that's limited. So it's changed the way connecting with your coworkers has been a little, and you have to kind of put yourself out there a little bit more than you would in an office. So like, for example, some of the new people who joined our company, they took the initiative and scheduled one-on-ones with each member of their team for half an hour just to talk to them and get to know them a little better. So that was very helpful even for me to get to know like the new people I'm working with. And we've had virtual happy hours where we all just sit and like kind of chat, play some like Jackbox games or something online together, and just kind of bond. You have to kind of designate time for team bonding and team building.
Yeah, similar to Karen's point. So I actually started working in my position in March as well. And something my team did was we set aside about 45 minutes every week to kind of do team bonding exercises. So so we'll do Jackbox games too, as well as Family Feud, trivia, things like that. And then we also do like little mini like personality quizzes too, just to see like how everyone on the team is, how everyone works together and things like that. So you do have to try a little harder to get more social aspect on a virtual job, but it's definitely possible.
Great. And along with that, perhaps this one or two final questions, because I want to leave a couple minutes if students have any questions. But so let's say a senior, someone who's close to graduating, they don't have a specific certification that an employer wants. What advice would you give to that student?
Apply. Just apply. And I know that goes against the grain. A lot of professors will tell you, because a lot of professors told me, like, you're not qualified, don't apply for that. And guess what? I applied. Guess what? I got the job. And here I am today. If you don't meet every checkbox, have some faith in yourself, obviously some things you can't really do. Like, I mean, if you're going to school for marketing and then you're trying to apply to be a doctor, I mean, obviously, you might not have the right qualifications, kind of a difference there. But if it's something you're serious about, I'm huge on, I think this kind of goes back to the investing in yourself also. Have faith in yourself, believe in yourself, be honest and transparent on that interview, and just let them know, like, I have a lot of confidence that I have what it takes to get the job done, and I'm willing to learn, and be open to learn. But please do not close out of a job application because it says you need X, Y, Z, and maybe you only have X and Y. Apply for the job.
I agree completely with you, Adrienne. And if you don't have the Z, let them know that you're open to learning. You just need somebody to give you a chance, and that's it.
Well said. So I want to leave a couple of minutes here if anyone who's on the Zoom, if you have any particular questions, you can either put them in the chat, or if you have a question, you go ahead and just ask that question, and then we'll ask maybe one or two of the panelists to answer it.
Hi, Ms. Peters. Hi, Ms. Decoteris. I'm really happy to see you again. You're here almost becoming celebrities, seeing you often. Hi, everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful day. I know that now that we are doing essentially online work for many individuals, gosh, we're in such a difficult position to partition life and work. And because the computers happens to be, or the laptop happens to be readily available wherever we're at on our phones, maybe we have our work email on phone. How are you partitioning your personal life from work so that you have some good mental space so that you can keep away from work? I think the dream was that, if we go to work from home, then we won't have to sit in traffic all the time. But maybe it's the case.
I think Albert cut out there for a little bit. Does anyone want to jump in? Any advice for Albert?
Sorry, guys. I know I'm talking a lot, but this one actually really hits close to home right now. Like I said, as a new business owner, it has been hard. I mean, I do the marketing, I produce the product, I do every aspect of everything. And so for me, it's just, luckily I've been very blessed in business, and my business kind of just, it started and it just got going and never looked back or stopped. And the biggest thing that I've had to learn is, like, I'm a very ambitious, goal-oriented person, which means most people that are like that are filled with a lot of anxiety as well. And I also have a very creative mind, so I can literally have an idea pop into my head at 2 a.m. and I'm like, all right, I've got to execute now. And I'll hop out of bed and I'm like, I have to execute this right now. But I've literally gotten to the point to where I've had to tell myself, like, it's okay, you can go to bed. I will either write it down or make a note of it in my phone, because I'm a visual person also. So if I don't mentally get it out of my brain and it just sits there, it'll bug me to death. And then I've also had to force myself to literally, there's times where I have 2 phones, one for business, one for personal. There's times where I'll leave the work phone at home and go far away. I'm so used to grabbing both, because I'm like, well, what if someone texts or calls and, they want to order, or, it'll be 9 o'clock and here I am responding to a client. And I'm like, absolutely not. Like, I can't respond to them right now. Like, my workday ends at 5. That's it. So you have to be really hard on yourself. I'm actually currently on week-long vacation, visiting family, and I had to force myself to do it. But if that means you've got to turn off the work phone, set hours for yourself. Even for me, I'm such a hypocrite telling you this, because I'm going to go downstairs as soon as I get off this call and probably check the work phone. But, turn it off, leave it at home, put it on Do Not Disturb. When you're going to bed, put the phone in a different room. Even if you just have one phone, I promise you everything will be okay until the next morning. But just shut it off.
Yeah, to piggyback off that, setting boundaries is very important. So for me, my boundary is I refuse to work on a weekend. Like, I don't mind working a little bit late during the week, but if it's Saturday and Sunday, I'm not going to touch my computer. I might check my email on my phone, but that's my boundary. That's my personal boundary, even when we were back in the office and back here, and just kind of sticking to that. Like Adrienne said, like, no one's gonna die. Like, I mean, unless you're a doctor, okay? But like, I'm not a doctor, I'm a designer. Like, no one's gonna die if I don't like respond to this email. And yeah, and I think also being cognizant of responding to emails after hours, because once you start getting into the habit of that, people start to expect that, and they're like, oh, well, I sent her an email at 9 p.m. Why isn't she responding? Well, I mean, you need your time. And then the very last thing is taking PTO. If your company offers PTO, you should take that. And this pandemic, I struggled a lot with that because I was like, what's the point of taking my PTO? Because there's nowhere to go. I'm stuck at home. But even if you're doing a staycation, use it because you need the break. You're going to lose productivity if you're not able to.
I'm going to piggyback off both those two because I think you guys really said that really well. Like, boundaries are 100%. And something that I struggled with really early on with working in the grocery stores is that my retailers and my grocery stores are open 24/7, and they're working much later than I am, working different shifts, working the weekend, and I work Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 2. And I had a really bad habit of keeping my phone and my iPad on me and answering text messages and going through emails and sending order sheets. And I had that mentality of, well, I'll just do that when I get home, or I'll just do that before I go to bed, and I found myself working 10 hours instead of my 8, and I'm not getting paid for 2 of them. And those boundaries are super important. And something that my company says that's really helped me is plan your work and work your plan. So having that schedule for your 8 hours and a tentative timeline for it, and, checking it off as you go. If your 8 hours ends and you have one thing at the end of that, don't worry about it. Close your book. You did what you could for the day. Add it on later when you have some extra time on a day maybe that you were ahead of schedule. But it's so important that you have a work life and a home life, and that you have those boundaries for yourself, for mental health and for your family's health. So I completely agree with you guys. That was really well said.
Great. Well, I didn't notice any questions come into the chat. So I think that it's been very enlightening. I really do appreciate all of you giving your time for our workshop here. And I have taken quite a number of notes, things that each of you have said. So I can certainly pass some of that information along to students as well. Again, to all of you, on behalf of the Career Center and Alumni Affairs, we really appreciate you taking the time and helping other students. We wish you all the best and have a really great evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you to all. Have a great night.
Thank you for hosting,
Thank
Sherry.
you, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you
Good
for
luck,
hosting.
Bronco.
Thanks for all the comments.
Thank you for having me as well.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a good one.